So then we are back with more understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find in the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Tzaielic lineage, so then we can understand the time of the end. As per Yeshayahu the prophet, we find layers of understanding of the spring feast, the autumn feast, and also the returning of the cities of the Messiah laid waste for many centuries. As we read then the prophet, we find then sections of then Metchichiah also linked with the prophet Yeshayahu. And most importantly, when we find these layers, we then remind ourselves regarding then Metchichiah, the chapter number 24 and verse number 35, where the Messiah himself has said, heaven and earth. And the problem with this section in the regular translation is related with tabernacling. Tabernacling won't ever be destroyed. So then the Messiah said, as tabernacling won't ever be destroyed, so then the layers of the instructions related with himself will be completed. So as far as this may, heaven and earth may go away, the translation unfortunately is wrong. Let's try to evaluate these precisely then and making an analysis. Why then heaven and earth must always continue? Regarding this age, you find then tabernacling being established when then Moshe or Moses established the first tabernacle service on the desert. Thus then tabernacling started. As far as heaven and earth, the earth, this present age, will be gone. But a heaven, the presence of the forever in this earth, won't ever. So then, the understanding is this. Tabernacling in this age was a conquest of the Creator upon those who were rebels, scoundrels, who decided then to rebel against himself, and the Creator himself then came with a plan. It was an absolutely perfect plan. So then when the Messiah spoke, heaven as far as tabernacling is related directly with the forever. The forever, we understand, is the Creator himself. However, this earth will be gone, as he stated it, as far as the second death, when then the earth is destroyed. And then those who are in torment at this very moment, plus the rest of them, will be then thrown into this earth, burning, and then sin is then eliminated. Let's then evaluate why then many people, when they read these understandings, they can't relate with the forever. How can then heaven, being the forever, be gone? He can't. He was always there, he is there, and he will be there always. So he can't be gone. Heaven can't. As far as the earth, then yes, this present age, this earth must be destroyed at some point. So then when the new earth is established, and then Jerusalem as the capital of this world, then the instructions of Moses, then we find very true, continuing and continuing and continuing forever. So then, As we read then 35th, and then it states, regarding then the day and the hour, no man knows. What is he explaining is then his return. Why do we say this then precisely? Because as far as the destructions of this earth, the many wars and destructions later in the future, as we understand per the prophecy, we find only a war against the holy cities. But until then, as we are understanding in the time of the restoration period, the earth should refrain itself from war, except a place in Africa, where then you find the war. You find then a place beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, the fierce people. You find the region of Congo. That's where the prophet has stated, and then the Messiah said, you will hear of war, and then rumors of wars. So then, regarding the day and the hour, no man knows. As we understand very precisely, then Yom Teruah, or the sounding of the shofar, is in a day where then no person knows. But when the first sliver of the lunar view then shows itself up in the sky, then they determine a holy Shabbat. So then the time is revealed. Some people, they have the misconception of the understanding the Messiah trying to hide information, where the contrary is true. The more information people learn and study from the Messiah, the more they understand. So then, heaven won't ever will to be gone, because he simply can't. Heaven is the understanding of the Creator upon this earth, contaminated, scandalized earth. However, this age, this earth, will to be gone. That's where then, when you read the 35th verse, you find then heaven and earth, and truly we understand this age will to be destroyed. What can we understand of the day and the hour? The day and the hour is when the Messiah, he comes and rescues his people. The very final time of the autumn feast. It is precisely then Yom Kippur, where you find then in the Holy Land, if you study the holy instructions and the holy feasts, you understand there is a time of the year where then the evil spirits, they must be removed out of the land. The whole nation then is absolutely holy. So this time, when we understand the starting of the autumn feast until its end, 490 days, you find then roughly a year and a half. Starts in the time of the year, then ends in Yom Kippur. That's when sin then is eliminated. The spring feast was 490, half of the instructions were completed, the other half then autumn feast. Then you find, and as in the days of Noah, as he was explaining, then they were having a relationship and so on and so forth. Then the Messiah, he continues on with those people who are taken unawares. So then try to observe the importance of step-by-step formation. First, you find heaven, we understand, won't ever be gone, but the earth will. Then you find the 36th, the day and the time nobody knows, obviously, because the Yom Teruah, or the feast, no person knows the day when it takes place. But when it does, they will know at the time. But we know it's in autumn. Then he gives understanding of Noah. And then he explains those people were eating and they were taking women and they were having relationships and they were buying, they were having trade. And then some of them would be taken, some of them not. So from the times and the seasons explained by then Shaliach Shaul, he said regarding the times and the seasons you should not be ignorant of. Then you read step by step what the Messiah then was explaining. Now let me ask you this. If you don't have knowledge of the holy instructions, you have no knowledge of the holy feasts of Leviticus 23rd chapter, the times and the seasons, if you don't understand the importance of the lunar view and the starting of the year with the barley aviv, regarding the initiation of the time of the day and then the ending of a day and the starting of a month, times and the seasons, you won't ever understand the prophecies. So then, what is important? The Messiah then also said, what is it for a man if he gains the entire world and at the end his soul then gets lost? What is the whole warning of this understanding of the Messiah? Obviously, he is encouraging you and me then to save our souls. What is the objective then? Is understanding tabernacling. Extremely important. That's why the Messiah is explaining step by step. So then, the Messiah then obviously is speaking with his own people, with the Shilishim. He's explaining to those disciples, the disciplined ones, many of these situations. Then the Messiah was teaching as he was always doing it during the time of the spring feast. Then he came to a point where then he had the responsibility of placing in themselves the importance of maintenance of the salvation of their own souls. What do we observe from the holy instructions? We observe the Messiah explaining of these maintenance must produce fruit. What is then producing fruit? Understanding tabernacling, always furthering the understandings and the linkings of the layers. You find it in Ezekiel the 37th chapter, you find Daniel the 11th chapter, you find sections of Revelation known as Galah. These understanding, these layers, when they are linked, becomes part of your own salvation. Thus then the path. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. But the Messiah said only a few at the end wilt find. And when the Messiah was explaining only a few, he meant what he said and he said what he meant. Not very many people can understand this section of the instructions and then linking up the forever must always be forever. So he can't go away any place. So the translation, let's evaluate the 35th. Heaven and earth may go away. It can't. Heaven must continue. The presence of the forever is forever. However, this age, then he explains, regarding the time or the hour no person knows. Then he gives the understanding of the time of Noah. Then he explains then at some point the time of Lot. And then in Luke, you find chapter then 1:7, you find, and then they were having a feast, they were having fun, and so on and so forth, and they were given to relationships. But they were oblivious of the times and the seasons. That's where then the danger comes. Can we only be saved because we are honest? No. Can we be saved because we are nice people? No. Can we be saved because we are responsible? No. Can we be saved because? And there is only an answer. The answer is heaven, or tabernacling. It takes tabernacling then to save us. If we don't understand tabernacling, we are not saved. Alright. Continue on. Then he explains. Let's then evaluate the maintenance. And then explaining the time of Noah, 39th. And they did not know until the deluge came and destroyed them. So he's giving the warning. Then he explains. Therefore, be alert, because you do not know in what hour then the Messiah returns. So then, he is explaining as far as being alert. Alert means a position of maintenance. This context of this text explains of a person being then involved with a maintenance of the times and the seasons, the understanding of the prophets, these layers being properly set, and then maintaining these path and then teaching other people. These truly what it means salvation. Without these, a person can't be saved. Let's say, for instance, you are a person brought in a very nice home, very loving, and so on and so forth. You went and then you got your certificate, then you find a wife, you had a nice family, and you have a trade of some sort. And then, are you truly saved? No, you are not saved. Nobody can be excluded from the holy instructions, and the Messiah was very explicit. We are only saved when we understand tabernacling. Sometimes if you read from certain translations, from the original manuscripts of the Greco-Gentile translation, you find tabernacling even in their own translation, because they did acknowledge the word tabernacling. They couldn't translate tabernacling, so they left as tabernacling. The presence of heaven in this contaminated earth, and obviously it can't go away. So, in the future, as we find in Zechariah, when then the new heaven, it's not truly new. It's explaining for us as human beings the government intended at first from the Holy Creator himself. When his government, then as new understanding of the new age coming, then we will understand. Thus, as far as new heaven is truly not new. But for this age, as far as we can understand, and then the refurbishment of this earth, then we can understand as far as our human viewpoint, we may understand as new. But it can't be new. The understanding of forever must make no distinction. Can you discover something new in forever? No. He knows. He exists. So he can't be new. Neither can he be old, because he's not involved with aging. The Creator himself never ages. He can't be say he's antique. He has no time. We humans have many kinds of limitations as far as when we were born. But when we understand tabernacling, forever, and heaven, the concepts, they must change. So then, can heaven go away? No. Let's give the example as far as Shlomo, known as Solomon. He built the holy temple, and the Creator at first he was very pleased. He then received this gift from human hands, and later on ended up being trouble. Yet at first, as they were obedient, then the Creator was satisfied. Then we find ourselves studying then the importance of the words of Shlomo. He said very precisely, then he made a brief home for the presence of the forever. Now the wordings are a bit strange when we read in human terms. He has built a magnificent house, so then the forever will be housing for a time. However, the translation we read, then this habitation will be forever. No, translation is wrong. This habitation was for a period of time housing the forever. So then, as we read then Metichiahu, the 24th chapter, the 35th verse, then we understand this earth, this present age, must be destroyed. Then the new earth, when is renewed as per then the instructions, you find then the new Jerusalem establishing itself and the forever continuing. Then we understand the importance of understanding then tabernacling. So then, as we read then the Shilishim, as we read then Luke, as we read then the many understandings and admonitions of Shaliach Shaul, he said then in Acts, a section of Acts, had he then taken the time, and if he would have spent more time with a friend of his that went to the third heaven, he was explaining situations that would not be proper, explaining in human terms, because this person, as stated it, was then involved with an experience on a third heaven. This truly is the only indication we have of this magnificent place. He went into the realms of the forever, so as tabernacling is the realm of forever. However, during this time, we are involved with sins. Sin is destructive. That's why then we are encouraged of maintaining these paths, these understandings, understanding tabernacling and maintaining it. So then other people can come and becoming part of the family of the forever. So then, how comes trouble? Many people, they have this misconception that people will go someplace into heaven, into the sky, maybe into the space, maybe into the third heaven. there is a problem. We were not made for heaven. We were made for the earth. We are earthbound people. We are people of the flesh. We are not people of the spirit. The spirit realm is exclusively made for the Creator Himself. He is the chief of the entire world in the universe. We were made for the earth. We were made then for planting, for harvesting, for building. So, when we die in the Messiah, those who died in Him are then resting, awaiting when the new earth then is re-established. Those who die without the Messiah stray down into Sheol. You can find references in the Holy Instructions related with Sheol, the infernal place of torment, until this age then is destroyed along with them, and then the new earth then is given to those who did understand tabernacling. So then, as far as going into heaven, no person can go into heaven. How can we enter the forever? We must do what He said. When a person dies, you're going to rest. What did He say to His fathers, Moses? You are going to rest with your forefathers. Rest, meaning then his soul then went to rest. So as each of those who are believers in the Holy Creator, and then we rest. The Creator never rests. The Creator never gets tired as far as the person chief in charge. However, He gets tired of sin. His patience has a limit, and He has set a time for the autumn feast and the conclusion of this age. And it is coming, roughly maximum of 20 years. So, should we learn tabernacling for the sake of our salvation of our own souls? We should. So, next time we're going to evaluate Revelation, Galah, and then making a link directly with the prophets. As we learn then further the path, then we learn the forever even further, on our viewpoint, on our side of the deal. So then, Revelation. You find ourselves then ready to study then Galah the next time, and we understand then a bit more of the forever as we read then Revelation. The Messiah then, when He is portrayed in Revelation, He is then the forever. He is explaining forever in action. Thus we understand what Shimon said. Thus we understand what the prophets make then a reference of. What comes to our minds then is Yirmiyahu the prophet, when he had the understanding of the 6th chapter and the understanding he had of His holy presence. These people, these prophets, experienced then the forever, and some of them couldn't describe in words. But we understand, for the sake of our own salvation, we must read and acknowledge that there is tabernacling and wilt be exercised in a new earth. So then, concluding these, when the new earth is established, as per Zechariah the prophet, and the Messiah himself, and the Shalishim, and Moshe himself, we find then the new earth, times and the seasons will be continued. This then is for the next time, so please stay tuned, much more coming up.